When I started my weight loss journey, I thought I had to follow the plan to the letter. I thought I had to be spot on and perfect. I needed to follow my plan, sure, but I also need to allow for being human. I had to figure out what would work for me and still be able to lose weight. In this video, I'm going to go over some of the biggest cravings people have and the foods that you can eat to satisfy those cravings and still lose weight. I'm Anna Goldsecker, and if you're new to my channel, please click subscribe and you'll get notified each time there's a new video coming out. And if you do like this video, please give me a thumbs up so it lets me know what direction to go in. I've started a new diet about 1,000,000 times, and each time I would start a new diet, inevitably I would want to eat something off plan, or I'd have a craving or want something that wasn't specifically under the guidelines of that plan. And then when I ate that, I just thought all bets were off and I had to start over. And I thought that when I gave into that craving, that the diet wasn't for me, that program really wasn't for me, it wouldn't work. And in this video, I'm gonna explain why I was so wrong. I found out that hunger and cravings, they're all normal. I just needed to figure out how to give into those cravings and still lose weight. And once I figured out those satisfying foods, I never felt like I was failing at a weight loss plan again. I found out that my cravings and my hunger kind of landed in two buckets. I either wanted sweet or I wanted crunchy and salty. What about you? My problem was that when I ate the foods that fit that criteria, like chips, like pretzels, like M&Ms, all of that stuff, I wasn't satisfied and I had to eat inordinate amounts to finally feel full. But the problem with those foods is that those foods always made me want more of those foods. I needed to find the options that would allow me to indulge the cravings, but wouldn't make me eat a huge quantity of food. If I was going to indulge in a food that was off plan, I always looked at the nutrition label. I looked at where the ingredients were and I saw what was in the food, and I made sure that I understand all the words. In other words, some made up chemical word, another word for sugar, isn't going to do me any favors. Does that make sense? I'd almost rather it say sugar. I also looked for the most natural options. So if I could satisfy the craving with a natural food, I went with that option first. I also looked for gluten-free options. I seem to have less of a reaction with gluten-free foods. In other words, it doesn't trigger me even more. The cravings don't go on, and I seem to get satisfied earlier. So none of these foods were foods that I ate every day. The majority of the time, I tried to stick to my plan. These are foods that I ate when I had a specific craving. If I would do this every day, the weight loss would never come. So this is when I had a specific craving, I would go for these certain foods. Once that day was over, the next day, I started back on my plan. When I wanted something sweet, and I would look over to the fruit, and the fruit looked good, I ate fruit. In fact, I eat a lot of fruit. The brain is made to run on glucose, and glucose only comes from fruits and vegetables. There is no glucose in protein. And you know what else about fruit? It's really rich in nutrients. So all vitamins, all minerals are contained in your fruits and vegetables. If I need something sweet, the first thing I do is reach for a piece of fruit. And right now, watermelon is in season. These are champagne mangoes, which are delicious. Most think fruit is the devil, but it's not. Believe me, I got to my weight loss goals eating a ton of fruit. So if you eat fruit and you're hungry, eat some more fruit. You might also need to do something like a melon, like watermelon, cantaloupe. It seems to fill the belly. Or you can also try it with a little bit of starch. So with a banana, with a date. Try and figure out for you what fruits satisfy you more or less. You want to learn about your body. You don't want to turn off those inner mechanisms. You want to tune in, figure out, am I hungry? Am I not hungry? And if you're hungry, you're going to need to eat, because if you don't eat when your hunger level's at a 3, once your hunger level's at a 9, you're going to want the Doritos. So eat the fruit first. When I want salty and crunchy, I reach for these rice crackers. These I find in a normal market, and I found them in other states too, so this is a really good option. They're gluten-free, they're really salty, and if I need some more satisfaction, if I need it to be heavier, I'll do it with hummus. Another option for salty and crunchy are the bigger rice crackers. Most people don't like these. They find them airy and styrofoamy, but the Lundberg's ones seem to be a bit better. They're a little bit more dense. If you toast these and you put a little bit of hummus and a slice of tomato, a little bit of sea salt over it, it's really super yummy, super satisfying, a really good treat. And this is really good travel food, and I usually bring this on the plane with me. So I'll bring this, some tomatoes that are whole in a Tupperware, and then little containers of hummus, because if it's a bigger container, then they'll swipe it from you. But super little containers of hummus, tomatoes, a plastic knife, and then I'll make these super satisfying. I crave pasta a lot. As the years have gone on, I crave it less and less, but sure, it still comes up. I have found that most of the gluten-free pasta are really sucky and yucky, and they fall apart really quickly. But I have found that these pastas, so in the Asian section, really work well for me. So these are actually made out of rice. It's white rice, and it is a pasta, so it's refined, which is why I don't have these every day. But when I'm dying for pasta, I'll do this with a little bit of oil and tamari on it. The trick with these, you boil the water, you stick these in, put the top on, and just leave it for about 6 to 8 minutes, depending on how thick the noodle is. So you don't want to boil these, because then they all fall apart and you will hate me. For something heavier, there is a company called Beyond Meat, and right now they have a ton of product in most of the major markets. I find that out of all the vegetarian made up options, that their burgers and their sausages are really super satisfying. So I will make up a couple packages of those for my family and me to eat on a dinner that I need made quick, so it's a really fast cooking meal. And also when I'm looking for something heavier, I'll make that. And you can saute mushrooms and onions, you can put on a big slice of tomato, and I've even given this product to meat eaters and even they like it. You ever had banana swirl? Take bananas and ripen them. Once they have the brown freckles, so you want to wait till bananas have the brown freckles so all the sugar is there. Yes, you do want sugar in the bananas. So you'll peel them and you stick it into a freezer bag, and I stick these in the freezer. I always have a few of these bags on hand for different treats and stuff that I like to make, and smoothies. And if you take those frozen bananas with unsweetened cocoa powder, put it in the blender with a little bit of maple syrup or dates, right? A little bit of vanilla and a pinch of sea salt, you can blend it up and make a super, super, super yummy banana swirl. And it's sort of like a cold treat, like a cold ice cream. The body needs sweet. You do need sweet. So if you're craving it, it's not that you're wrong. It's not that you're a bad person. It's that you're a human being. Most of the surface of the tongue is set up for sweet receptors. So satisfy it. Bread. All right, I have a lot to say about this. If there are no options and there is bread and I am starving, I will have it. The trick with bread I found for me is, first of all, to have it without any fat. So I do not have bread if I'm going off plan. with oil or with butter. I have just plain bread or bread with hummus. I'll usually have a little bit of a reaction from bread, so it's not one of my mainstays, but if I have to and I'm desperate, that's how I do it to have the least effect on me. Now let's talk about chocolate. I don't think that there's much substitute when it comes to chocolate. I think that that's a flavor that most of us are familiar with and really seek that specific thing. So with chocolate, I find if you really super need it, to have it. The trick with the chocolate I found is to just have it plain. In other words, don't have the chocolate with nuts in it or fruit in it, and don't have the chocolate with candy coating, like no candy bars or M&Ms or something like that. Just have pure chocolate. Eat it super slow and super savor it. This again is not something to have every time, but if you do have M&Ms, it usually goes to chips because of the candy coating more than the chocolate that's inside. At night, if you're hungry and you want something sweet again, sometimes you'll crave cereal. Go for either a gluten-free granola or a gluten-free cereal, even puffed rice. Again, it is refined. This is not for weight loss. And then you don't want to have milk with that. You want to have rice milk, coconut milk, almond milk. And what I tell people to buy is, so you can get a big thing of this. This is the Almond Breeze, and you can get a big container of it. But hopefully over time, you'll be having less and less. So in that case, what I suggest you do is get these little single servings. These are really handy to have because these last forever on the shelf. So again, not for weight loss, but to satisfy that hunger, to satisfy that craving. If you want something crunchy and salty, is popcorn. I love popcorn. The further I've gotten into eating this way, the better it is. So less and less I need this. But here's a few tricks with the popcorn. Make it yourself, first of all. It'll be so much yummier. And it's super easy and it fills the house with such an amazing smell. I also try and get organic, and then I pop it in a big soup pot that I have, and I use coconut oil. After it's all popped, I add some sea salt. It's really satisfying, and there is kind of an end game. In other words, when you eat popcorn that's popped fresh and with really good oil, it's really kind of rare that you'll go from that to the chocolate, to the ice cream, and to the chips. I hope you can see that what you eat greatly affects your hunger, your cravings, and your mood. And what you eat today really affects how you're going to feel the next day. You aren't crazy. You're just eating the wrong foods. Let's get you fed, let's get you satisfied, and let's get you healed. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what foods you're craving and what you use to satisfy those cravings, what works and what doesn't work. What's worked on your weight loss plan? When have you gone off? And do you know why? I hope you found this video helpful. And if you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Until next time. Mwah! Ciao.